Hey guys, Moldran here, and in my latest videos I was comparing different stats, for example average damage, attack speed, and people were asking me in the videos then, okay, but what's better now? Which stat is better, attack speed, average damage, crit? And yeah, the simple answer to this is, you can't say it exactly, you can't even calculate it exactly, because it depends on many other factors like abilities. Certain abilities scale really well with attack speed, others with crit, and so you can't really calculate it. But what you can calculate is the DPS shown in your character screen. That's something you can calculate. And about the stats in general, you want to have the stats on an equal level. Like you want to have a high stat of everything, but nothing super high and something else at 0. For example, you don't want to have 600% crit damage, 70% crit chance, but 0% attack speed. You want to have something like 500% crit damage, 50% crit chance, and 50% attack speed. And that's basically the reason why I made this Excel sheet here, where you can basically, let me explain first how it works. For example, for a dual wield, here you enter your weapon minimum damage, maximum damage, and attack speed. Then you do the same here. And here also, my weapon, my offhand, has plus 9% attack speed. Because of rounding differences, you need to calculate it like this, but in most cases you don't have attack speed on the offense, so here you can also just write down 1.3 or 1.4. Then we have the primary attributes, whether it's strength, dex, int, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage. And then finally we have average damage, which usually comes on amulet and rings. Pretty simple, you can fill out all the cells here with a background, and then it automatically calculates your DPS. Now, my own DPS of my barbarian is like 3 DPS higher. It's like rounding differences, but it should be almost equal, unless certain classes have specific abilities that increase the DPS even further. But yeah. Now, why did I make this sheet? Like right now it's pretty useless, but here you can compare now stats. For example, let's compare 7% attack speed versus 40 average damage. And what does it tell me here? With the current stats, 40 average damage would boost my DPS to 275.5k, whereas attack speed only boosts it to 274.9k. So this time, as it shows here in bold, the B would be better. If I would have to decide between two items, they have exactly the same stats, the same defensive stats, but one has 40 average damage and one 7% attack speed. If I would go for pure DPS output now, without considering skills, I would choose item B. But what happens, for example, if I wouldn't have 40% attack speed already, if I would only have 0% attack speed? And now you see, now the attack speed becomes better. Now attack speed would give me a lot more DPS than average damage, because simply I didn't have any attack speed yet. So that's what I'm meaning with balance of stats. And it's also the same with crit chance and crit damage. For example, let's make an extreme example. 1% crit chance versus 100% crit damage. What's better? Of course 100% crit damage is better. But let's say we have 0% crit chance. What happens if we have 0% crit chance? Then of course crit chance is better, because without any crit chance the 100% crit damage wouldn't do anything. But yeah, let's get back to the starting point. And you can also use this, for example, if you compare, let's say, amulets. Let's say you have one amulet with 6% attack speed, 9% crit chance and 95% crit damage, and another one with 250 strength, no attack speed, but also 8.5 crit chance and 95 crit damage. And you see, the second amulet without attack speed is better than the first, because in this case the 250 strength make up for the loss in crit chance and the loss of attack speed. Now this here is the calculation for dual wield. I made this document myself, but if you want to use it, I'm gonna make a link to it so you can download it and use it for your own gear. You can also check if the DPS calculation is accurate, but as I said, there could be a rounding difference for up to 100 DPS, but that shouldn't matter that much. Here also the same for two-handed users or users of one-handed shield, because DPS is calculated a bit different here. It's actually more simple, but yeah. And yeah, the formula for DPS looks pretty long here, but it's actually not that accurate. It gets a bit more complicated if you factor in those two stats, but after all it comes down to just first weapon DPS, how much DPS to the weapons, then it directly also considers or takes into consideration the left and right wing, and then it just you add or you multiply it with the primary attribute, 1 plus primary attribute divided by 100. Then you do the same with attack speed, you factor in attack speed, then you factor in crit chance and crit damage. And crit chance and crit damage are directly multiplied with each other. So, as said before, each of those become more effective the more you have. And I hope you got a better understanding now of how DPS is calculated and how you can compare between different items. Now, obviously, websites like D3Up, they do everything that I've done here for you automatically, but here it's also good if you want to understand it yourself, like how certain abilities work, and you can also play around. Like you can, for example, see, you can compare, okay, 8% attack speed, I want to compare with 4% crit chance. Okay, 4% crit is better in this case. I want to compare it with 20% crit damage. Okay, here attack speed is better. And you can also calculate to which point is attack speed better than crit damage. For example, you can do this manually, but I'll probably bring out the second version that automatically shows you that. But here you can see at 43% attack speed is better, but at 45% crit damage is better. But yeah, it's actually a good idea to improve this Excel sheet even more, so it shows you exactly, for example, if you enter here attack speed, it shows you the equivalent of all other stats. For example, what is the equivalent of attack speed. But yeah, for now, just use this Excel document, and I hope you can calculate some things for yourself, try to find out or figure out which items, which stats you want to have in your gear, how you can optimize your character, and yeah, get ready for future Diablo 3 content and whatever is out there. And before I end this video, there's also news right from the top, none less than
Jay Wilson, game director,
basically gave us an update about the status of his PvP blog that he announced like 1 or 2 weeks ago, and just look for yourself. I'll be back.